Very pleased to
It's
see.
our pleasure to have you, sir, and gain this knowledge today on the evolutionary trends.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So
Uh,
we'll pause our video and we'll wait for some time.
yes, sir. Subramaniam Krishnamurthy, sir, has also joined us. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the webinar. So once again, a very good evening to all the participants who have just joined us today for this webinar today on evolutionary trends in automotive industry. Yes, dear participants, today's webinar, we are going to have a look at evolutionary trends in the automotive industry. And as expert for today's webinar, we have none other than Mr. Anil Pathak, sir, Senior Director, Product Management and Engineering, Harman Gurgaon. Sir has already joined us. As per schedule, we shall be beginning with the webinar sharp at 6 p.m. Meanwhile, it is time for tea and networking. So I hope all my participants are enjoying their tea or coffee at their home in a safe environment. It's raining here in Delhi. I hope everybody is safe at their home. Kindly ensure whatever devices you are connected with us through today for this webinar, you are able to access the chat window on the same. Yes, dear participants, the chat window is an important mechanism through which we shall be communicating with all of you during this webinar. Any questions you have from our expert, you can keep writing the same in the chat window. If I'm not audible to any of the participants, I will request you kindly check your devices because on my test device, I am audible. So if I am not audible to any of the participants or the chat window is not accessible to any of the participants. Dear participants, the room is still open. Kindly change your device, kindly check your connection so that you attend this webinar, gain the knowledge in an uninterruptible fashion. Any questions you have from our expert for today's webinar, you can keep writing the same in the chat window. If required, our expert will try to take them during the session. Otherwise, at the end of the session, I shall be facilitating you by discussing them with our expert. Further, this webinar shall also be live streamed on our official YouTube channel, BVI Cam New Delhi. Yes, dear participants, this webinar shall also be live streamed on our official YouTube channel, BVI Cam New Delhi. In case any of your friends or colleagues plan to attend this webinar through our official YouTube channel, I request you to kindly ask them to directly join the WebEx room and earn themselves a certificate of participation at the end of today's webinar. Yes, dear participants, for all the participants who will directly be attending this webinar through this WebEx room, we shall be sharing a feedback form link at the end of the session. You are required to carefully fill in your details into the link and submit the form to auto-generate your certificate of participation and get it mailed into your inbox at the end of this webinar today. So dear participants, kindly ensure that you can access the chat window on your devices. It appears as a bubble icon on your device. You can easily uh, write your name, affiliation, and you can check the test chat window. For widespread information of all our participants, I am also sharing the details of our International Journal of Information Technology, popularly called as BJIT. Yes, dear participants, our International Journal of Information Technology, popularly called as BJIT, available at its own Springer webpage www.springer.com general/41870 is the name or is the number of the general. This particular journal is published by Springer Nature Singapore. It is Coopers and UGC Care listed. It can be accessed through its Springer pages only through subscription mode, but it is available free of cost to all our FDP participants. Yes, dear participants, if you register yourself at bvicam.ac.in/indiacom.login.asp, you will be getting a member ID and password completely free of cost. With this member ID and password as a special privilege to all of you, you may refer to the papers of your interest in the journal. You may also keep contributing for this journal, submitting papers, publication of which, if accepted, is completely free of cost. Further, if you find the journal useful, you may also recommend its subscription in the library of your institution or university. Details of this journal for the widespread information of all our participants, I have already shared in the chat window. So you can save the details from the chat window to your devices, and you can share it amongst your friends also. Good evening, Ajay sir. Welcome to the webinar.
Good evening, Dr. Ritika.
Yeah. Hi,
Hi,
Ajay.
Anil.
Thank you. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, good to see you, Anil, after some time.
Yeah, thanks. Same here. Thank you.
A very warm welcome once again to all the participants who have just joined us today. For widespread information of all the participants, I have just shared details of our International Journal of Information Technology. But new prospective authors may kindly note that Budget being Scopus Index published by Springer Nature accepts only original research papers in computer science and its application domains, but not review and survey papers. However, keeping in view NEP 2020 recommendation of undertaking multidisciplinary research, we are happy to announce International Journal of Research in Multidisciplinary Studies, IJRMS, an official publication of Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management (BVI-CAM), published biannually by the Institution of Media Professionals IMP New Delhi. Interested authors from any domain may submit their papers online at the given link shared in the chat window in single column template available at the homepage of the journal with IEEE citation style. For more details, you can refer to the journal homepage bvicam.ac.in/IJRMS. Please note once again, there is no publication fee for this journal also. I once again warmly welcome all the participants to today's webinar on evolutionary trends in the automotive industry. In a few minutes from now, sharp at 6 p.m., dear participants, we shall be beginning with today's webinar. Our expert for today's webinar, Anil Pathak sir, Senior Director, Product Management and Engineering, Harman Gurgaon, has already joined us. Please ensure whatever devices you are connected with us through for today's webinar, you should be able to access the chat window. The chat window is an important mechanism through which we shall be communicating with all of you during this webinar. Piyush sir, Huda sir has joined. Please promote him to attendees.
Sure, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to
Good
the
evening,
webinar.
everyone. Good evening. Good evening, Ajay ji. Good evening, Mr. Anil.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
evening, ji.
Namaskar.
Good
Namaskar.
evening.
Good evening.
नमस्कार नमस्कार कैसे हैं सब लोग ठीक हैं
Good, ji. All
I can see Professor Subramaniam as always is there. Yes. So Delhi was trying to come out of this flood situation. Now just rain has started. So this probably will create situation and make it more worse.
Yeah, looks like, and this should be a heavy rain looking outside.
Yeah. And even tomorrow it is forecasting that it will be heavy rain. Let's see
Oh.
what happens. Many records are being broken. So this year, the rains record, particularly with reference to Delhi, has been broken. Huh?
Yeah. Long time record. Yeah.
Let's see. Or
But
Mr. Anil, can you?
whether rain happens or flood happens, that's a different thing. We should be happy that Chandrayaan has launched successfully. So
Chandrayaan has launched
that is more
successfully. That's
important.
great. That certainly is a great news.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So day before yesterday, when I opened the Times of India page, on the left side there was news about Chandrayaan, and on the right side there was news about the flood in Delhi. So
Right.
it was very ironical to take a picture
Yeah,
in a one shot.
the two
The
opposite
kind
and
of
as part of the
spectrum.
developed nation. Uh, two contradictory facts.
Yeah. So in fact, in today's Times of India, there is a joke on that.
I
I
see.
don't know if you have seen that. It's a very interesting joke. Ajay, did you see that? There is a one cartoon. So they are aliens sitting on moon, saw
Okay.
a rocket coming, and they
I
say,
see.
"What is happening?" So he said, "See, Chandrayaan 3 is coming." I said, but why they are sending all Chandrayaan and why cannot fix the flood situation in Delhi? He's saying because it's not a rocket science.
It is not a rocket science. True. True.
That's true. That's true.
We always do all technological things like this, and rocket science is not the simple things.
True. Rocket
We do
science, huh?
complex things, huh?
We do
Very,
complex things.
very true. That's a good one.
So, Hoda sir, thank you. Thanks for joining. It
Anil,
always,
thank you so much for
when I see you, always
accepting.
gives a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So,
I
you
mean,
are,
it is also again that whether COVID comes or whether rain comes, whether flood comes or whether it is a complete drop, but webinar continues
we will not.
week
Very
after week.
good.
This
Thanks
lecture
for
series
your.
continues.
Once again, a very warm welcome to all the participants who have just joined us today for this webinar on evolutionary trends in automotive industry. Dear participants, in a few minutes from now, sharp at 6 p.m., we shall be beginning with today's webinar. Our expert, Mr. Anil Pathak sir, Senior Director, Product Management and Engineering, Harman Gurgaon, is already there with us. As per schedule, kindly note, dear participants, I request you, whatever devices you are connected with us for this webinar, kindly ensure you can access the chat window on the same, because the chat window is an important mechanism through which we shall be communicating with all of you during this webinar. Any questions you have from our expert for today's session, kindly write the same in the chat window. If required, our expert shall surely take them up during the session. Otherwise, at the end of the session, I shall be facilitating by discussing all your queries with our expert. Further, I also request all the participants to kindly ensure, in case any of your colleagues or friends plan to join this webinar through our official YouTube channel. Yes, dear participants, this webinar shall also be live streamed on our official YouTube channel, BVI Cam New Delhi. But the live streaming is only for knowledge dissemination purposes. So no feedback form link shall be shared with any of the participants who join the webinar through our official YouTube channel. Only the participants who have joined this WebEx room directly shall be shared with the feedback link at the end of the session. Kindly fill up the details in the feedback form carefully without any mistakes, because with those details, your certificate for today's webinar shall be directly generated and emailed into your inbox within a matter of minutes as soon as you submit your feedback form. Kindly ensure you do not leave this meeting room till the time you do not receive the feedback form in your certificate of participation in your inbox. You can check the chat window. It appears as a bubble icon on your device. You can write in your name, affiliation, details, etc., so that you can test the chat window. Few minutes from now, we shall be beginning with the webinar. For information of all our participants, I have already shared details of our International Journal of Information Technology. Yes, dear participants, International Journal of Information Technology, popularly called as BIGIT, is an official publication of Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute by the Springer Nature Singapore. It has its own webpage at springer.com. The journal number is 41870. Papers of this journal can be accessed from Springer Nature only through subscription mode. But we have made it available to our FDP participants as a special option. So in case you create a membership ID for yourself under the member area at indiacomlogin.asp, we shall be making as a special privilege all the papers available to you. You can refer to the papers of your interest and keep contributing for this journal by submitting papers, publication of which, if accepted, is completely free of cost. Further, if you find the journal useful, you can also recommend its subscription to your library or your university. R.K. Singh sir has also joined us. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the webinar. New prospective authors may also kindly note that BIGIT, being Scopus Index published by Springer Nature, accepts only original research papers in computer science and related domains. However, keeping in mind the NEP 2020 recommendation of multidisciplinary research, we are also happy to announce International Journal of Research in Multidisciplinary Studies, IJRMS, an official publication of Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI-CAM, published biannually by the Institution of Media Professionals, IMP, New Delhi. Interested authors from any domain may submit their papers online at the link shared in the chat window. Again, there is no publication fee. It is already 6 p.m. Sir, can we start?
Yes, we can start.
Thank you, sir. A very pleasant evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI-CAM, in association with the Computational Intelligence Society chapter, CIS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Computer Science Society CS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Technology and Engineering Management Society TEMS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, System, Man and Cybernetics Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Communication Society of IEEE Delhi section, Consultants Network Affinity Group of IEEE Delhi section, Life Member Affinity LMA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Inter-Society Relations IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, Industry Relations and Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, Site Standing Committees of IEEE Delhi section, Region Trend of IEEE with the Associations of Computer Society of India, CSI, Institute of Information Technology Professionals, IITP, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center as technical collaborators welcome you all to the IEEE IETE BVI-CAM Technical Lecture Series on Evolutionary Trends in the Automotive Industry. It is a moment of pride and honor to announce that we, with united hands, mark special contribution for the monumental occasions Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, an initiative to celebrate 75 years of glorious independence, as well as contribute our bit in seeking to find practical global solutions for the benefit of all. The aim of India during its G20 presidency tenure in 2023. This webinar is an initiative to mark both these monumentous occasions, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, as well as our G20 presidency. As per Yannick Schilling in the foreword of Modern Manufacturing, Volume 1, never before in the history of mankind has the pace of innovation and technological acceleration been faster than it is today. This actually justifies the pace of technological invention and innovation in current times in all domains of human endeavors, including the automotive industry. There are always many technologies and trends shaping automotive industry, but few amongst them are taking the lead as following, be it connectivity or connected vehicles, electric vehicles or electrification, autonomous driving, shared mobility, or fleets. Given trends are possible because of the advancement of underlying technologies like 5G, edge computing, V2X, IoT, public clouds, data analytics, artificial intelligence, digitalization, connected power platforms, analytics platforms, cybersecurity, and so on. In this session today, we will not just focus on technologies, but will also see how these technologies are enhancing the driving experience, because when you get into the car, it is not just to take you from place X to Y, but to live in your third living space after home and work and enjoy the journey with rich immersive experiences. Let's try to have a glimpse of all of these in today's session and discuss all the possible issues and concerns. I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I would first welcome Professor M.N. Huda sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, and Vice Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section, to address the participants with his inspiring words.
Good evening, one and all. Am I audible, Dr.
Yes,
Ritika?
sir. Yes, sir.
So at the outset, I take this opportunity to welcome my friend and the valued speaker for today, Mr. Anil Pathak, Senior Director, Project Management and Engineering, Harman, Gurgaon. Thank you so much, Mr. Anil, for having accepted my request out of your busy schedule and being with all of us to enlighten us how technology is changing. I also take this opportunity to pay my gratitude to all my friends from various professional societies, section chair heads. I have Professor Subramaniam Krishnamurthy here. I have my very dear friend Mr. Ajay here, who is the backbone of this technical lecture series since almost last 3 years. And now it is, 3 years have been because now we are in July.
Yeah.
So in June we have completed 3 years. And all my friends from, I have Mr. R.K. Singh here, very senior person and resource person to many of our technical lecture sessions earlier, and participants from all parts of the country and abroad. Dear participants, this is our 124th lecture of this evening, Saturday evening, weekly lecture series organized under the banner of IEEE, BVI IETE, CSI, IETE lecture series. All of you know, those who have been attending, that this lecture series was started in the backdrop of the COVID-20 to make us to realize that it is important to keep people engaged into the environment, and that we have successfully been able to do that. It is said that there is nothing constant on this earth except change. Change is the only constant phenomena. Everything else is changing in and around us. Entire ecosystem is changing. And that's how I say that if we do not change upfront, probably the changing ecosystem will change us. And that's how it is said that इंसान घर बदलता है, लिबास बदलता है, रिश्ते बदलता है, दोस्त बदलता है. इंसान घर बदलता है, लिबास बदलता है, रिश्ते बदलता है, दोस्त बदलता है, फिर भी परेशान क्यों रहता है? क्योंकि हम अपने आप को नहीं बदलते. And that's how the Ghalib from the same land Delhi said that उम्र भर गालिब यही भूल करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी और मैं आईना साफ करता रहा. On the backdrop of this change, I wanted to sensitize that automotive industry is such an industry. If you see last 20 years, it has changed a lot. We remember the typical Jeep. We also remember the typical ambassador car. And then the age came for Maruti, and then the liberalization, privatization, globalization, LPG came into picture, and then multinational brands started coming to India. And now if you see the global market, the entire interaction with the car, with the automotives have been changed, not only the car. And that's how Dr. Ritika rightly said that is the third space where we need to spend most of our time, and particularly in the conditions like metro cities, whether in India or outside the India, it is such an important that sometime half of the time of your home goes into your car. And if we do not understand that how changes are happening in this automotive industry, what are the evolving trends which are coming, then probably will be left behind. And I'm a strong believer of this fact that probably in a decade to come, the entire interface with our car will change. The entire expectations, the set of expectations which we have through automotive vehicles will change, and probably the kind of the car which Tesla and other people are making, and the world is going to witness many of the smart cars. The way we interact will certainly change. I remember around 25 years ago, it was difficult for a traffic police to understand that this number, this car number, belonged to which state even, and forget about belongs to whom. Then came the age that we somehow or other did some structured numbering, and then people started understanding with the number plate of the car that this car belongs to which state. And then now it is even at this moment, without any smart number plate, it is on the thumb of the traffic police to understand that this car is registered in whose name, what's the address, and what are the other details. Further, so on that he can even understand that when in past on this number there have been challans like that. Now the things are changing absolutely different, and that's how the automotive car industry is going to change the entire face. For that particular purpose, we have organized this particular lecture series, that we should understand upfront, and who else other than my friend Mr. Anil Pathak can enlighten us that how and in which way the changes are happening, and to which extent we need to keep ourselves updated about it, and of course drive maximum benefit out of the changes which is going to come or which are on the card. So with this note, with this background understanding, I think we should welcome Mr. Anil, and all of us are eagerly interested to know the changes, and these changes are in which way going to embrace us, going to be useful for all of us. So thank you so much, Mr. Anil, for being with all of us, and ready to inspire all of us. And thank you to all participants from various parts of the country who are joining this lecture series. And dear participants, there are a few more lectures which have already been announced. If you have not registered so far, please do register. What happens that individually, if you do not register, that sending invitation every time, and that too well in time, sometime becomes difficult. So if you register, your records are there, and then automatically the system generated invitation will go to all of you. So thank you so much. With this note that ये हर एक वेबिनार अगले वेबिनार के करने की हमें इंस्पायरेशन देता है, और अगला वेबिनार होने वाला है इसकी खबर भी देता है। कहते हैं कि जब सुबह होती है तो वो आने वाले शाम की खबर देती है, और जब शाम होती है तो हर आने वाली शाम अपने बाद आने वाले सुबह की खबर देती है। तो ये वेबिनार भी हमें अगले वेबिनार की खबर साथ में दे रही, इसलिए मैं हमेशा इस नोट पे क्लोज करता हूं कि फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, और अगले सैटरडे एक नए टॉपिक के साथ फिर मिलेंगे हम। थैंक यू सो मच, all the best to all of you. Keep learning despite disruptions, whether it is a disruptions by flood, or whether it is a disruption by COVID, or whether it is a disruption by some or other factors happening in the world, but never ever stop learning. That is the message of this technical lecture series. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. I would now welcome amongst us our expert speaker, Mr. Anil Pathak, sir, with an e-booking. Mr. Anil Pathak, sir, is Senior Director, Product Management and Engineering, Harman Gungao. Sir is having over 25 years of experience in software engineering domain, having been associated with leading product services organization. Sir has managed and delivered a large number of multi-site products and programs for Fortune 500 customers across the globe. That is USA, UK, Canada, France, China, Japan, South Korea, as well as India. Anil sir is currently working on connected devices, IoT, and cloud-based solutions in the automotive domain with Harman Gurgaon. He has a flair for technology, knowledge dissemination, and drives related initiative in organizations and academia. I welcome you today to this session, sir, and will now request you to kindly enlighten the house. Over to you, sir.
So first of all, thank you, Hoda sir, Ajay sir, and all other guests, Dr. Subramaniam, Dr. Singh, and everybody, and all the attendees here for giving me this opportunity to take 1 hour on this weekend. So thanks a lot for that. And as Professor Hoda mentioned, what can be the better day than today on this auspicious occasion of Shivratri in Shravan Mas? So just to share the background of Indian culture, in this Shravan Mas, there's a tradition to exchange knowledge because rains are happening, the farmers don't have anything to do. So all they do, they gather and they exchange knowledge. So in that context, what can be the better platform to exchange knowledge in this webinar forum? So thanks a lot. And last, sir, as you have already done a lot of Shira Shari, so I also have a one small one before we get into the deep technology stuff. सो नए जमाने का दौर है साहब, नए जमाने का दौर है साहब, खुद में बदलाव लाना ही बदला लेना है. So I think change change is necessary. And one last thing to Ajay sir, you mentioned, Buddha sir, that he is a backbone of this series for last 3 years. So he is not just a backbone of this series. He is backbone of careers of many. And like one of them, like me, for last 25 years, he has created people like me from a novice. So he is a habit of creating leaders and
So
institutions.
nice always. Yeah. Thank you.
And big round of applause for my friend Ajay.
Yes, yes. Okay, with that, I'm sure participant would say that we came here to learn automotive industry, and here we are seeing all Shiro Shairi and all other stuff. But let's, without delay, let's get into this. So let me share my presentation, and then let's start. Okay. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And thanks, Dr. Ritika, for doing a nice arrangement without any hiccup. Things started working. So thanks a lot for your support. Okay, with this, so in next 45 minutes, I'll kind of wrap up this session. So thank you. So we'll talk about in this next 45 minutes the evolutionary trends in automotive industry. Just to give a structure to this talk, following is the proposed agenda. So we'll talk about overall context and assumptions, various trends, few learnings and challenges, and the technology behind these trends, and Q&A. Just to avoid a monologue, you guys can put questions in between. If I get time, I'll try to answer in between, and otherwise at the end of the session, we will take up these questions. Okay. This is the overall context and few assumptions. So given presentation focus on the India region, because many of us participant in the session belong to this region. Of course, we'll take a note of the global automotive trends also, but we'll focus on in terms of examples, etc. India and the focus. As we know, automotive industry, there are multiple types of vehicles, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, passenger vehicles, commercial vehicles. But for the sake of simplicity, this presentation would focus on the passenger cars. Reason? Because many of us belong to that segment as a retail customers. In given talk, believe me, there is no intent to promote any specific brand, right? We'll talk about few brands, but there no intent to promote anyone or demote anyone. Few names we'll just give to give more clarity of the topic and few examples. And last but not the least, these trends are not in any specific order. Just from a learning perspective, I have given in some order. Okay. Now, so as we know, automotive industry is one of the pillar of our India's GDP. right? As a good amount of contribution goes in India's GDP through direct and indirect contribution by this industry. So if we see this trend, which I have picked up from Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, SIAM, so you'll see in pandemic, there was a hit in the numbers of productions and the sale. But just after that, this industry has revived both in terms of production numbers and also the sale, even though we were hit by the pandemic and chip shortage. So the good part of this, we have crossed those numbers of a pre-pandemic level, both in production and sale. So that is the overall context and background. With that, let's look at these trends. So the first trend we see, I think it is very evident and widely seen that connectivity, the connected car is number one trend we see. Just to share an example, a day before, on the front page of Times of India, there was a front page ad and back, 2 pages ad of one of the OEM giving the ad about the new launch. And the surprising thing was that they were not talking about the traditional features of the car in terms of the horsepower and the mileage and so on and so forth. What they were focusing on, the features offered by car in terms of connectivity, connected car, application, these kind of telematics features. So this gives a kind of insight that people take the driving, the navigation, going from point A to point B is granted. That's what the car would do. The differentiating factor is this telematics and connectivity. And everybody wants to be connected. We all know the kind of mobile phones have taken a space in our lives. So we want to be connected, be it in home or in office or in the go, and why car should be behind. These are the various categories of features offering. These are just few. There are many more. Navigation, remote control, safety, convenience, and all this. We'll see in the next few slides. And almost who's and who of OEM are offering these features. You name it: Hyundai, Kia, Tata Nexon, MG Hector, Jeep, Ford, Maruti, and many more. Right? Almost every. Only difference is the number of features. Some offer 30, some offer 70 or even 100. So yeah, so that is number one trend. This slide captures the ad which I was mentioning, which came day before yesterday. I kind of looked at these features. All these features, kind of 70 features they were offering. Right from navigation, I'll not go to specific this, you can figure out, and I'm sure many of you may have these connected cars. But from navigation, which is basically ease in navigating your vehicle from point A to point B, find my car, finding a route, rather than looking on a mobile phone, looking at the HD map in your head unit in the car. So navigation is the one series. Second is the remote control. So remotely, you can do many operations, changing the HVAC settings so that you get a convenience of operations, getting the right temperature settings, etc. And then remote honking and all these remote features you can do. So that's the second category. Third category in terms of convenience, you can do the remote OTA map updates, right? You don't need to take your car to the dealer to get your maps update. Over there, update on the map and also other features in the car. So we'll see how this OTA feature is, why is so important. And many of these connectivity features in terms of with the smartwatch, with the AI, Alexa, voice command through the, you don't even need to open your app. You just give your command and then the vehicle would follow, right? And a lot of third-party integration, a lot of personalization, right? Car remembers you. Car remembers you because many people drive the same car in the home. So they remember who you are and then kind of customize that. Then comes the safety and the security. These features are really close to my heart because end of the day, if the technology can save some life, right? What can be better than that, right? Because nowadays we see a lot of drawback of a technology like a phone addiction and so, that is okay. But at the same time, this technology also helping us in many of the scenarios. Like the first one, e-call, right? Automotive collision notification and detection. And in an unfortunate event, if this happens, then automatically car would detect that event has occurred and then report to the authorities and even the OEMs also, and they'll take care of you. And then stolen vehicle tracking and all this. So these features. And the last but not the least, vehicle management in terms of the health of the vehicle, right? And various reports. So you can maintain your vehicle in a better way. So these are the broad categories clubbed into the connected car features. And as I mentioned, the range moves from 30 to 70. This is the sample list. And as I mentioned before, nowadays, this is one of the deciding factor in choosing your next vehicle. Now, the key challenges are the high price and affordability. So still, the price is still high. Even if you talk about the Maruti, which is one of the affordable cars in India, even all cars do not have these features. Even the cars beyond some range, like Nexa series, etc., have these features. So that's the one challenge. But I'm sure with the economy of scale and these features become more commodity, the prices would come down. Next is the security of the system. Whatever we say, no system is 100% proof. I personally, along with my team, have been developing these features for last 5 years and have deployed these features in many OEMs in India and outside also. There is always a race between the developers and the hackers. And at times, momentarily, the hackers win. But we kind of fixed that. So security is one challenge. Of course, we took all the measures in terms of multiple layers, right, at the hardware, firmware, OS, software, and then communication protocols, and then mobile apps, and the cloud, all these systems we put in place to make the system secure. And the related aspect is the privacy. Though this concept is catching up in India, because we generally are very public and open society, but nevertheless, privacy is important, and that's why we all are aware about this. In the monsoon session, we are supposed to have this in our parliament. This bill, privacy bill, is coming up, right? Which will take care of our privacy aspects. So that's one challenge. We have to appreciate that the data which is being collected is all users' data. And of course, all these OEM companies are only a kind of a processor of the data. The owner is the end consumer. So these are the challenges in terms of technologies. So a lot of technologies are being used to give these kind of features. IoT is the backbone of this. A lot of public and private cloud, AI, data analytics, embedded, telematics, even a 5G and more. So these are the technology behind and future tech trends. So with this 5G coming in, a lot of new features are coming. We'll see next few slides. And as you know, the AI is advancing. So more related of those cases would come. I'll take a pause and people can, because this is a closure of trend one, so you can put your questions and then I'll take it up. Okay. So far, this is a trend one, as I mentioned, most evident one, and we will see. Let's move to the next trends. So next trend is electrification or electrical cars. I think this trend is very much evident. It's also evident from the graphs on the right side, which I have picked up from some public sites. You can see the trend is growing. So numbers are not very large. At absolute scale, if you see, we are still at 2% these passenger vehicles. Right now, more focus is on the two-wheelers, but I'm sure this would also catch up and would come to the passenger vehicle also. Broadly, if you see, there are four kind of electrical cars, 4 or 5 kind of. The top 2 or 3 which I mentioned are the focus areas because of various reasons, the price, the government policies, FEMA and all this stuff. Sorry. So the first is battery electrical vehicle, right? So which we say is an electrical vehicle because that is a fully chargeable battery vehicle. So we call it electrical vehicle. The second is your hybrid vehicle. So as we know, there are two kinds of hybrid. One is a mild hybrid, which kind of assist the IC engine, right? The vehicle cannot drive on just on the electrical power, but it just assists. And again, full hybrid, it can run, but only for a short period of time. But in hybrid, obviously, you know that you cannot charge the battery by, sorry, you cannot charge the battery. The battery has to charge by the internal combustion only. The next two are not very popular in India. I think it's coming up. So one is called PHEV, which is plug-in hybrid electrical vehicle. So here you have a electrical vehicle, you have IC engine also, you have a battery also, but you can also charge it. This is a very good concept because this kind of removes the range anxiety. This kind of remove the anxiety that what if my battery goes dry, right? I run out of my battery, what will happen? So that PHEV takes care of it. The only drawback is that it's costly because you end of a day make two systems, the one full electric car and one full IC car, so it becomes costly. And also because of the policy reasons, you do not get the rebate of tax and all the things on the PHEV cars. And the next is fuel cell electric vehicle on a hydrogen, etc. So that trend is coming up. In next few years, we'll see this car. You saw that our transport minister Mr. Nitin Gadkari was in the news. He drove in a hydrogen car to the parliament. So yeah, this is the broad spectrum of electric cars in India, and the key players are Tata, MG, and many more are picking up. Now, if you see, the challenges are, I think it's very obvious. The charging network is one of the challenge, and related to that is a EV range anxiety. But I think I was reading somewhere this EV range anxiety is little hyped up because if you see typically any retail consumer like us as a statistics drive 32 kilometers per day on an average in an urban area. And these vehicles very well has a range of 250, 300 kilometers. So it means once you charge even at your home, you are good for a week, right? So very well you can take care of your mobility needs within the city. But nevertheless, this is a challenge in terms of charging, which is being taken care by a number of solutions like public-private partnership. Government has very clearly mentioned that don't expect that the government would invest their own. It has to be the public-private, and then eventually this charging network would come. Second challenge is relatively higher price. So again, it's no-brainer. Once we have more scale, economy of scale would kick in, and the prices would come down. Right now, we are just sitting at the 2%. Few solutions as I proposed, PPP model is one. Second is still there are these connectors and charging stations are not standardized. They are still, so I think with that, with one charging station, the other company is not able to take a benefit and vice versa. So if these are standardized, then this would kind of solve this charging problem. So we need to work on this kind of standardizing these charging station. And the third is furthermore stronger implementation of FAME 3.0 yet to come, which was I think 10 years back kicked off by the government, but yet to pick up a pace. So these are the few solutions to kick up or further jack up this electrification trend. Future tech trends. So I think from a technology perspective, battery life prognostic is one of the challenging area. It means you can predict how long the battery would go, because in a electrical car, end of the day you have battery and then you have motor, right? And battery is one of the costliest items. So you want to see how much is the life remaining in your battery, and so that is one area of feature trends. Fast charging, standard connectors, battery swap, and more accurate range calculations to reduce this range anxiety. You keep on hearing on social media that whatever numbers published by OEMs are not in line. So if these is more accurate, it will reduce this range anxiety. So with this, we are at the end of our trend two. So open for you can put questions. Okay, let's move to the our next trend is a ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance System. So please be aware, ADAS is not autonomous driving. So they are related, but they're not same. You may be aware there are levels of ADAS. Level 0, there are 6 levels, L0 to L5. L0, L1, L2 is where the human is still in the control. The driver is still in the control of the vehicle. The technology is just assisting. And level 3, 4, 5 is the reverse, where the technology is in the control and human is just helping, if at all it can. So that's the difference. In India, because of the demographics and based on our needs, we are rightly focused on the L1 and L2 level only. We don't need L3 as of now. And some of the features mentioned here will not go deep into these. I think I still remember 2 years back in this IEEE forum, I gave a 1-hour session on the ADAS, so we can refer that. So various features to keep vehicles within the lane to prevent from, though in India, at least in urban, there is no concept of a lane, but at least all the freeways are coming up in India also, where you have to have these lane concept, and these ADAS features would help you in that. Blind spot detection is very relevant. Rear cross traffic alert while you are taking the back reversing. Adaptive cruise control. Front collision warning, very important feature. As I mentioned, if technology can help you save life, nothing like it. And these are the features which helps save life. So front collision warning, rear collision warning, emergency braking, speed assist system, headlamp control, right? Okay, and then there are many passenger cars and OEMs are supporting this ADAS features like MG, Ester, Tata, Harrier, Safari, right? Kia Seltos, which the ad came, and Mahindra and so. So, and it's kind of little costly, but still the features are kind of can be afforded. So that's good to see that these L1, L2 features are available in India also. Okay, let's see. The technology being used. So one of the very complex thing in terms of ADAS, and on the right diagram, if you see, so many radars, lidars, cameras, ultrasonic, a lot of these hardware and firmware things comes into picture. And then a lot of this AI, ML, all these things are there to kind of come up with these ADAS use cases. Now, if you look at the future trends, so more L2 features would come. Level 3 feature, not required, but I think just for the competition, some may put in, but at least in India, we are good with L2 features. And then a lot of these in-cabin ADAS features would also come, and they are coming. We'll see next slides, like a driver distraction warning, drowsiness detection warning, integration with health sensors, stress sensors to reduce the cognitive load. So many of those ADAS features we'll see in next slides. We'll also have a look on those. So that's about the ADAS features in terms of various features being offered, which are the company which are offering, the technology behind it, and the future trends. Now, let's look at our next trend, trend 4, in terms of a shared mobility fleet. So this is one of the trend picking up, not only in India, but worldwide. And the regions are following that. This is more a worldwide because the consumer prefer access over ownership. Though in India, I mean, you own a car not just for driving, not just for going from point A to point B. Car has a different objectives also. You understand what I'm saying? Car is also is one of the status symbol also, and so here it is not true from India context that you just need a car from access perspective. But even though other regions like with the smartphone access, the scheduling is very convenient. Various incentives are offered by these corporates, consumers, and then a lot of urban congestion is there, right? Because of that, people avoid kind of going through their own cars and pick up this Ola, Uber, and Blue and other fleet operators. And we all are aware about the parking issues and so on and so forth. And I think and these fleet operators are doing well so far, and hence this trend is picking up. So this is a trend that the fleet would gradually, but we need not to worry. Even though the fleet would pick up, still the sale of the vehicles would continue to do so. Only thing would change that many OEMs would make these vehicles with focus on the fleets, as you can see happening in like electrical cars. One of the Tata, for example, is focusing on the specific segment of fleets, right? So even this fleet comes in, there should not be any cause of worry for automotive OEMs. In terms of challenges, it has own challenges. Safety and security is one of the challenge in Indian context also. Personalization, obviously, as soon as you get into the fleet, as of now, there's no personalization offered. Though there has been an attempt in that by using a digital platform, you can do personalization. So this could be one future trend. But as of now, this is one challenge. As of now, there are some challenges related to the predictability and the reliability of the fleet. We all know the Ola, Uber, and all those kind of challenges we typically see. So that is one of the issue. There is a one future trend we see is called mobility as a service. So it's a very interesting concept coming up worldwide. In India, we hope would come soon also. The idea is this, by one digital platform, you offer the end-to-end mobility service so that any end consumer need not to worry about multiple modes of a communication, be it like a public transit, metro, rapid metro, or car sharing or bike sharing. So you just have a one platform which takes care of your end-to-end mobility needs. So with this software also coming in, we hope we would see this mass concept also. And as I mentioned, we expect more EV fleets coming. As you can see, the blue is really picking up. So this brings to our closure of our trend number 4. I think we are in the right time because I took almost 25 minutes and the 4 trends I have picked up. And I think the similar next 20 minutes, I'll also cover the remaining 4 also. Okay, so that brings to our closure of trend number 4. Okay, so let's change gear. We all are aware about the 5G and India being in the front runner of adoption of the 5G services. 5G has an impact on many areas and especially on the automotive industry for sure. Many features are possible because of this 5G. And V2X and CV2X is one of them. So V2X, as you know, whether it's V2V, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to pedestrian, vehicle to network. So all that is possible thanks to 5G. And there are many use cases of V2X. It's a session in itself. But in this limited time, we can just focus on 1 or 2 use cases, which looks very interesting to me. As I mentioned, if technology can save life, nothing like it. So I really that's my passion, that the technology should save life. So at least the first use case, the situational awareness VRU, vulnerable road users. V2X can definitely come in to save lives of pedestrian, bicycle, and definitely India, is very, very, very neat. In next, it's a small video. I'll just show how this technology works. It's just a 1 minute video, and just have a look. I hope the audio is coming. So we saw that with the help of this vehicle to pedestrian, vehicle to bicycle communication, we could save one life. There's another very interesting use case by increasing the fuel efficiency due to traffic light efficiency. There are a lot of features like time to green, red light violation warning, and the last very interesting one, green light optimized speed advisory, GLOSA. So with this technology, you can kind of save on your mileage, that you can kind of adapt the speed of your vehicle so that you don't hit the red light on the traffic signal. So very innovative use case. Just have a look on this also. So I hope I could convey this message that with this V2X, a lot of innovative use cases can be taken care of. So that was our trend number 5. Now let's go to trend number 6. This is ideally should be the trend number 1, but just for the interest and to build up this momentum, I have kept it trend number 6. It is one of the disruption happening in this automotive industry. So let me give a context behind it. Some people may aware about this trend, but for many this may be a new trend altogether. So as we know, this disruption happened around 15 years back, around 2008, when this Android came in, right? And we all gradually migrated from our feature phone to a smartphone. And the kind of situation we are here is because of that disruption happened, that any feature which is being offered is not directly dependent upon the hardware. You just have a phone which has a basic building blocks like a hardware, the camera, the speaker, the mic. But the rest of the functionality can be updated by various applications. You have a Google Play Store, App Store, and so on and so forth. So that was the paradigm shift. The automotive industry is also at the same juncture now. That where you define the vehicle in multiple layers. The one layer is just about the hardware, and then rest you can kind of update as you go further. With this, a lot of new ideas come by this. It means when you are launching a vehicle, you need not to build in all the features. You can upgrade the features during the lifetime of a vehicle using OTA, over the air update. As of now, also the OTA happens, but it happens for a very, very specific times. As of now, if you understand the vehicle architecture, there are hundreds of ECUs there, the TCU is there. Those are built in, and then you update the software, but only to a limited sense. But with this SDV coming in, you'll have just a building blocks, and after that, you can change whatever you want. Whatever feature you want to offer post production also, you can do a OTA and upgrade the vehicle. So that is kind of a disruption. So a lot of things would happen because of that. As of now, as the age of the vehicle moves or increases, the residual value of the vehicle increases. But with this SDV concept, need not to be. As you grow further, apart from normal wear and tears, with more features coming in, the value of the cars would further increase. The car can also detect various maintenance issues, etc., and kind of fix it. So these kind of capabilities are coming with this software-defined vehicle. Very flexible, very scalable architecture. We'll also see one small video that would give you a concept of, so it's altogether new concept, little difficult to explain in this 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That's why I'll take a help of this video. But believe me, down the line we'll see this would simply disrupt the industry. And as being said, the software is eating the world. Here, the services would eat the software. And the services means the features, the use cases would eat the software. So with that, let's have a look at this small 1 minute. And I have taken a help of one of the OEM who has put in this 1 minute video, that how, and that is just a sample. As I mentioned, I'm not promoting that OEM. I'm just using that as an example, as a sample. So let's have a look at this 1 minute video. Okay, I hope it gave some perspective. The technologies being used in this SDV would be many. And as I mentioned, one of the key technologies is OTA, over the air update, because you need to update constantly the software in the vehicle. The second is the App Store. So as you have a Google Play Store on the Android phones and Apple App Store on the iPhones, You'll also have app stores in various OEM vehicles, right? Where you can download the various applications also. So that would also be one. And then cloud, IoT, digital twin, microservices, and many more technology would kind of make this trend a reality. And a lot of focus would come on the various software development life cycles, etc. Because end of the day, you have to appreciate while the software you can download the app and it can crash and you can fix it, you can uninstall it and all the stuff. So while you like to have those flexibility, but you cannot compromise on the rigidity and the stability, automotive greatness of the features, right? So while you need to have the flexibility and agility of a software, but it has to come a software, automotive grade software. So that is the one challenge that needs to be taken care of. And as I mentioned before, security is a paramount. With this SDP vehicle, it becomes more relevant. So I know it was a little difficult concept. May not be possible to explain in just 5 minutes, but I hope you may had a glimpse of it. Now moving to our next trend. I know I have just 6 more minutes. So this is our second last trend number 7, safety and well-being. So in this, the focus is on the driver, passenger safety and well-being. And post-COVID pandemic, this trend is on the rise. And the key features are driver distraction warning. I think with this mobile, thanks to this technology and the mobile phone and multiple screens in the vehicle, the cognitive load is increasing, right? And the driver is distracted, right? So, so the technology would solve the technology problems, right? So to solve this, a lot of these cameras and sensors have been put in. Driver-facing infrared camera, visual mental load detection, seeing that eye gaze zone detection, checking eyelid blinking and head position. So all this, a couple of sensors, cameras, and then AI ML, you kind of detect this. So again, it's kind of an ADAS feature, in-cabin ADAS feature. And then driver drowsiness warning. In case you figure out the driver is getting drowsy, and as we have seen in the recent past, many of such accidents happen, like we saw in news with this, thanks to this long freeways like Yamuna Expressway, all this is coming up. While this is helping, but at the same time, these kind of issues are coming up, driver drowsiness. So to solve this, the vehicle can detect that you are getting drowsy and can do intervention using the HVAC settings. It can increase the temperature, switch on and off the AC so that you can get uncomfortable, increase the volume, audio settings, increase or decrease the vehicle lighting. So you can do an intervention so that you're not too much of comfortable, right? And last but not the least, it does sense the vitals in terms of your heart rate, interbeat intervals, breathing rate, and it can figure out that what is your kind of a stress level. And based on that, it can take up mm, necessary actions, call somebody or even route to a nearby health facility. So all those kind of actions can be defined. There's a very strong or very interesting use cases called stress-free routing, where based on the cognitive load, and you figure out that the driver is stressed, so you can offer the vehicle can offer stress-free routing. As of now, using Google and other routing decisions, you drive the shortest path, right? But here you probably would take a longer path, but with a less stress. And this stress can be defined on a static models like a road size, whether it's a one way or it's a two way, with a divider in between, how many turns is the scenic. So these are static models, and few dynamic models in terms of the traffic, the weather, all those kind of flood-like situation. And based on the heat maps generated by the crowd. So these decisions can be taken. And I'm very happy to share that in Harman, we have implemented this solution with the name as a Ready Care, and all these solutions are available for our automotive OEMs. And you will see in many of the cars, these features would start coming in. So that is our trend number 7, the safety and well-being, basically integrating the healthcare and the vehicle. Now comes our last trend. I know there are 2-3 minutes remaining. I'll just kind of wind up in next 5 minutes and we'll take Q&A. This is our last trend. It's called in-car augmented or mixed reality. So as we know, augmented reality is also one of the new technology area we are advancing. So this is also club. With this so many of screens coming in, so this is a new concept where you kind of project all the screen on the windscreen itself, right? As being shown. We'll also show a half-minute video also, just to give the picture clear. But idea is this, that you project all this, you overlay all these signs on the windscreen itself to avoid a distraction. And how it can help? It can help in various ADAS events, like all this collision warning, lane departure warning, rather than coming on the screen, separate mobile phone or a head unit, all this comes on the overlay on the windscreen. So that this feature itself not add any additional distraction. It can also help in the navigation, right? You can see the maps, etc., on the windscreen destination, and also infotainment, also various POI and all this you can also see on the overlay. A lot of technologies goes into this, AR definitely, computer vision, machine learning, because you have to detect all the objects in the front and then overlay on the screen. A lot of 6 DOF, degree of freedom sensors, vehicle speed, angle, momentum, and 3 location X, Y, Z coordinates, all that clubbed together and gives this feature. Again, happy to share that Harman have this feature. Let's see a small video and that will also capture.
The Harman augmented reality platform enhances the driver's field of view, allowing them to keep their eyes on the road while effortlessly viewing the navigation system and ADAS alerts. By leveraging machine learning, the AR platform generates real-time, intelligent overlays onto the road surface, allowing drivers to keep their eyes forward and reduce distraction. The physical and virtual worlds are merged to create a safer, more intuitive, and rewarding driving experience. Register on Harman Explore to discover how the augmented reality platform can make time in your vehicle time well spent.
Okay, so now I'm coming towards the end of the session. I'm kind of summarizing. So far we have seen the technologies behind these trends are many, and combination of those technologies are giving these interesting trends. So IoT is one, connectivity, and now the 5G in that, various cloud technologies, embedded technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge and cloud analytics, mobile apps, both on Android and iOS, and also web portal, also the digital twin, the security, and many more. So all these technologies kind of working together and giving these trends in the automotive industry. So with the last slide, I would like to conclude in my own words as following. With so many disruptive technologies like SDV, 5G, AI, and more, we are probably at the same disruptive juncture as transition from feature phone to smartphone happened decade plus before. Our imagination, learning, and experience would decide the automotive journey. So with that, I'd like to conclude. I almost just 2 minutes more I took. I kind of finished at 7:02. So Dr. Ritika, I kind of finished on time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful, insightful session. It has enlightened the participants about automotive industry and the underlying technologies. And we have a number of questions. So with your permission, I'll start taking them up one by one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the first question we have, Please clarify how many underlying technologies are made in India locally and how much of it is imported.
Okay. So as I mentioned, almost all technologies, almost all, I'm very proud to say this, all of these technologies are made in India. Actually, this question has multiple angles. See, as I mentioned, in many of these features, me and my team are personally involved for last 5 years, and I am very much Indian, right? So that's the one answer. And also, like if you say Harman is a multinational company, but it has a strong presence. Thousands of people are working in India, and the people are working at the core of the development, not just like a support and other peripheral activities. So we should be very proud. All these technologies are, we are working made in India and indigenous, and we are working, of course, with the support from global partners.
Absolutely, sir. And that is, I think, an achievement for our country.
Yes.
So the next question we have, in L4 and L5 advanced driver assistance systems, how will driver drowsiness issue be overcome in case the driver is completely idle?
So as I mentioned, first of all, L4 and L5 are not relevant from the Indian context because we do not have lack of manpower, etc., etc. This is for, I have seen L5 vehicle in US, like Tesla vehicle, where vehicle drives it. Whether driver is drowsy, distracted, does not matter. He or she is just there in the car. In L4 and L5, the controlling entity is the vehicle, right? Till L0, L1, L2, it is the controlling is with the driver, and hence this driver drowsiness and distractions is only relevant till L2. L3 to L5, it's actually the vehicle is taking care of that, and these are not relevant use cases. I hope
Yes,
I
sir.
answered the question.
So the next question we have, please let us know some other barriers or motivators for adoption of electric vehicles.
See, there are multiple advantages of electrical vehicle. While the initial capex is very high, but the opex is very cheap, right? So that is. Sorry, did you ask the barrier or motivator? Sorry, I missed it. Can you
Sir,
repeat that?
both barriers as well as motivators.
Okay. So barriers are many. First barrier is money. The capex is very high. So obviously you need an initial sunk cost. So that is a one barrier. And barriers I mentioned many in my slides, right? One of the barrier is the cost. Second barrier is your charging network. Third barrier is the range anxiety. So these are the barriers. Now the motivators, as I mentioned, the very low OPEX cost, that is one. And second, if you are environmental, if you care for that, obviously that would be one motivator, that end of the day you are not adding pollution. Uh, at least one pollution. I know there's a different one will add in terms of battery disposal and also and so forth, but at least the air pollution you're not adding. So these are one of the motivators and barriers for the electrical. And one more motivator is also your tax rebate as of now.
Yes, sir. So next question we have, it says, with ever increasing population of India, ever increasing fossil fuel prices and affordable transportation vehicle like bus, train system or two or four wheeler for common man or the middle class section. Are there any developments from EV manufacturing industry that can reduce the burden on various governments?
So basically, what I understood, basically how this EV can help the common man. Basically, as of now, the EVs are very, very costly, right?
Yes, sir.
Probably that is the question. So end of the day, it is a very chicken and egg problem. Uh, these EVs are costly because people are not buying these vehicles because they are costly, and the reason they are costly because not because of economy of scale. So that's a chicken and egg story. But I think government has been supporting it by the tax rebate and then FAME 3.0 and all this. And as I mentioned, So as of now, I see a good adoption happening at least in the two-wheeler segment. So I think that you'll agree with me. Nowadays, wherever you see all electrical vehicles, and they are especially focused on this logistics partners and the people who are giving your deliveries and all those companies, you know that, right? So at least in the
Yes, sir.
two-wheeler segment, we see electrical vehicle is a hit. Three-wheeler segment also is a hit. You see so many, you hardly see any manual rickshaw nowadays, right? So it's a normal path that gradually with this, with the passage of time and the technology coming in, I think the prices would come down. And with the passage of time, I think these charging stations would also come up. I think I see a one trend, at least in Gurgaon, for example, a lot of third-party operators have come. They put these charging stations for a free in various societies like ours. They put for free. They do the investment.
Yes, sir.
But then what they do? They charge little more in terms of the charging cost of the electricity. So a lot of innovative. So I'm pretty hopeful. India is a nation where do a lot of jugaad, lot of innovation, not in a negative sense, in a positive sense. I'm sure we'll also take a ride in this trend of electrical vehicles also. And recently I visited one of the out of here. The solar vehicles are also coming up, right? Where you get
Yes,
away
sir.
with this concept of battery charging, right? You have a solar, and that vehicle 60-70 kilometers. That was the range of that vehicle also. So India has a good blessings of our Surya Devata. So that can also be very good, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Uh, so thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful session today. I would now request our director, Professor Hemen Huda, sir, to kindly present a certificate and memento for this wonderful session today to Anil Pathak, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anil. And with your session, we now understood that there are many changes on the card, and possibly a decade down the line, will be stabilizing these changes and will be an eye opener. So thank you so much for this session. This certificate is only for the purpose of remembrance, not for certification. That
Yes,
you have
yes,
been part of this wonderful webinar, and maybe a decade down the line, when people will be talking about this automotive transportation, automotive vehicles and automotive cars, then we'll say that yes, when it was in infancy, we have organized this wonderful webinar. And if you remember, around 2 years ago, we had done the similar sessions.
yes, yes, yes.
So thank you so much. And again, this memento is also just for the part of the remembrance.
Thank you, sir.
And dear
Thanks.
participants, this session, this meeting hall is now converted into a facilitation center. Dr. Ritika and my team members, Piyush and others, will take care that you get certificate. Thank you so much. I will be engaging myself in some another activity. Now I'm sitting in the office and few pending work are there. So thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Okay, and just last, I'd like to thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity, and thanks everybody here, and thanks audience for listening me. So thank you.
Always pleasure. And my special thank to Professor Bhatia, Dr. R.K. Singh, Professor Subramaniam
Yes.
Krishnamurthy, and all my friends who are amongst the attendees. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. May I leave now, sir?
Yes, you are at liberty.
Thank
You are at liberty to take
thank
decision.
you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, I thank all our distinguished panelists and participants who have continuously supported us through this webinar. A big thank you to all of you who have joined us today on this auspicious day. The feedback form link for this session has already been shared online. Dear participants, kindly fill in your details carefully and submit the form to generate yourself a certificate of participation for this wonderful session today. Please do not leave this meeting room till the time you do not receive your certificate of participation in the inbox. The feedback form for certificate of participation generation has already been shared in the chat window, dear participants. Good evening, Harjinder Singh sir. How are you?
Fine, fine. In my chat, but this link is not there.
Sir, we have just shared it, so please
Oh.
refresh. I'll once again share the feedback form link.
Okay.
Dear participants, the feedback form link has been shared in the chat window. Sir, I've shared it once again.
Yeah. I will try to get it.
Yes, sir. I can see my number of participants has started reducing. I hope all the participants who are leaving the meeting room have already generated their certificate of participation. Our system has already generated over 50 certificate of participations. So please, dear participants, fill in the details carefully to generate your certificate of participation and have it delivered right in your inbox. In case after submitting the feedback form, you do not find your certificate of participation in your inbox, you are most welcome to write to us in the panelist window your email ID. But the basic requirement is you have to fill and submit the feedback form. So please fill and submit the feedback form, dear participants, to generate yourself a certificate for this wonderful session today. Our next session is planned next Saturday. So all the participants who are leaving us for the day, I request you to join us back next Saturday with next webinar of ours. Feedback form is already shared in the chat window, dear participants. My number of participants is continuously going down, which I imply that my participants are already receiving their certificate of participation. Once you submit your certificate of participation, kindly refresh your inbox, and most probably you will find your certificate of participation as a mail attachment. In case you do not find your certificate of participation in your inbox and you have joined us today for the first time, kindly refresh or check your spam folder also, and please mark the mail as not spam so that you receive it in your inbox the next time. In case of any issues, please feel free to write us in the chat window to all the panelists. In case you have submitted the feedback form and not received your certificate of participation, please share your email ID with all the panelists in the chat window. We will help you out with the same. But kindly ensure to have successfully submitted the feedback form. Thank you, Pankti Dalal ma'am. We hope to have you back next Saturday.
एक सेकंड यार फिल कर दे
Pirochan Bhatt, sir, if you have successfully submitted the feedback form, kindly check your inbox. In case you do not find it in your inbox, you can share your email ID with us in the chat window. We have again shared the feedback form link in the chat window. I have last few participants left. Mr. Avesh Khan, Bhakti Thakre, Birochan Bhatt, Bodhyan, C.S. Madanlal, Deepa, Dipendra Tiwari, M.K. Jayanti Kanan, Dr. Sheel, Dr. Husam, Dr. Sapna, Gajendra Kumar, Hanumanta
Okay, thank
Rao.
you very much. I'm also leaving.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining.
I will fill the form today. Let me see whether the certificate will come.
Kamal Kanan, Krishna Sundar Rajan, Madhu Sudanan, Mohammad Faizan, Mohit Kumar, Navata, Naveen Sharma, Dr. Rajiv Yadav, Ravinder S, Sanaha, Sanjay, Santosh Kumar, Sanya, Sarvan Kumar, Shivam, Shubham, SK Raghu, Sunil Kumar, Supriya, Suraj, Vaswa, Vinay Kumar, Vintika, Virendra Kumar M, Wakar Ahmed. I hope these participants have already filled the feedback form and have only forgotten to leave the meeting room. Thank you, Hanumantha Rao, sir. We hope to have you back next Saturday. I have last 27 participants left. I hope they have all submitted the feedback form. We have Avesh Khan, Bodhyan, C.S. Madanlal, Dr. Husam, Ashutosh, Rajendra Kumar, Harsh Chawla, Kamal, Krishna, Madhusudan, Sanjay sir, give us a few minutes. We will be tracing your feedback form. Sanjay sir has shared his email ID. He has not received the certificate. So let us check if the certificate is generated. Thank you for sharing the details, Sanjay sir. We will just check it at the back end. Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thank you. You have received the certificate. Last 19 participants left. Dear participants, we will be closing this meeting room in another 17 minutes. I hope you all have already received your certificate and have only forgotten to log out of this meeting room. Last 14 participants. I would like to make a last call, dear participants. If you still haven't received your certificates, please feel free to write to us in the chat window. Otherwise, we'll be closing this meeting room in another 5 minutes from now. Once the meeting room is closed, it will be difficult for you to generate your certificate of participation. Dear participants, last 12 participants left. I hope they have just forgotten to leave the meeting room. We have Bodhyan Bhattacharya, C.S. Madanlal, Dr. Husam, Ashutosh, Kamal Kanan, Krishna Sundararajan. Then we have Mohammad Faizan, Mohit Kumar, Navatha, Naveen Sharma, Professor Dr. Rajiv Yadav, Ravinder S. Kajal, Santosh Kumar Patro, Sanya Agarwal, Sarvan Kumar Pandey, Shivam, Shubham, Supriya Roth, and Virendra Kumar M. Thakkar. I hope all these participants have already received their certificate of participation. Thank you, Ravinder S. Kajal, sir. Thank you so much. We hope to have you back next Saturday with our next webinar. Thank you, Sarvan Kumar Pandey, sir. We hope to have you back next Saturday with our next webinar. Thank you, Ravinder S. Kajal, sir. Thank you for the motivation. We hope to have you back next Saturday with our next webinar. Thank you, Dr. Husam. With this, dear participants, we come to an end to today's wonderful webinar. We hope to have all of you back next Saturday with our next webinar. Till then, goodbye and take care. We shall now be closing this meeting room.